the medicine woman.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's Asha Lovely Day, your medicine woman here, and this video is basically discussing how to rebuild your identity after trauma. So this video is going to explore the different ways you can kind of rediscover who you are beyond survival mode and external expectations. I hope this video is helpful, and I hope that it gives you the tips that you can use to live a very authentic life and live in your authenticity, because that honestly is what trauma does to you and steals from you. So I hope through this video you can find the skills and find the ways that you can kind of what's the word, you can kind of live authentically. So what trauma does is it fragments your sense of self, and you need to kind of discover who you are before you started living in survival mode. What is your default? And it may be difficult for some of us who have CPTSD or childhood PTSD, where sometimes we barely even remember who we were or the kind of people we were before we were traumatized or before we were told this is acceptable way to be, this is the acceptable way to be, this is the acceptable way to exist within our bodies, to exist within our societies. But as I mentioned in my videos, inner childhood healing and kind of like interacting even with the little things that you used to do as a child. So whether if it was music, if you were if you were talkative, if you were extroverted, I find that like with trauma symptoms. For example, I grew up majority of my life up until 3 years ago thinking I was introverted. I thought I didn't like interacting with people, but I realized as I started resolving my trauma that I actually am very, very, very what's the word? I am very extroverted but reserved. And the reserved is still a trauma response, but I love being around people. I get my energy from people. It's not to say that I don't like, I'd say I'm more of an ambivert, but it's not to say that I don't like being to myself or whatever. But because I was traumatized in a group setting, I was bullied a lot, very often growing up. I just assumed I was introverted, and my own coping mechanism with that was to self isolate. And in that self isolation, I became very content with being by myself and being hyper independent. And I saw this video and I was watching it, and the lady was like, if your way of coping with things is hyper independence, your love language may be, what's the word? Acts of service. So it's things like that. So it's not even like love language in romantic relations. It's really more if you're coming into this like what's if you're coming into this phase of authenticity and discovering who you were or are before the trauma, or who you are entirely, you will obviously incorporate like the things because the trauma just changes you forever, but you will kind of like combat those things that are not necessarily part of who you are or your personality, but they're basically parts of the experiences you've had that have made you traumatized. So if you are introverted, for example, and you just see one thing I would hate in high school because I was bullied. Like I remember being behind a bunch of people who had watched The Vampire Diaries, and I just wanted to talk about it so much with them, but then I was so secluded and very like to myself. And most introverts they just want to be by themselves. That's just how they are. I don't think being an introvert is an like inherent like coping mechanism or whatever. I think you could just be introverted, but really try to think, okay, what is stopping me from living my best and authentic life? And that is what trauma does to you. It will stop you from living your best and most authentic life, and it will stop you from doing the things that you're naturally drawn to. So think about it. If fear was not in the equation, what would you do? And that usually is the key to finding who you are. So a difference to me between your survival identity and your authentic identity is truly fear, and is truly a limited mindset. So oftentimes we have to really go back to who said you can't do that. And it's not even says like who said you can't do that, whatever, but really ask the questions to be like, who said you can't do that? And is it your mom? Is it your uncle? Is it society? Is it whoever? And really start to take back that authority from them because oftentimes I read this, was it by I don't know who the hell he is, but lovely man, lovely book. I will tag it in what's it called below. My mom gave it to me to read. And oftentimes growing up, humans will be told this is how this is supposed to be and this is what you're supposed to do. But it's this authority figure that has basically had their hand over their life over us like they're God, telling us who we're supposed to be, who we are, and where we're supposed to go in life. And we actually believe them, and it takes a toll on our ability to live our lives authentically. So, really take back that authority, and that will then set the difference between your survival identity and your authentic identity. And it's not to say it's like one thing I believe in wholeheartedly is faking it till you make it. Sometimes it's not going to be something you automatically just come into. It's something that you start with baby steps and something that you start and you just do. Living authentically doesn't mean that everything all of a sudden comes easy and things are easier to do. Even more, it means despite the fear, despite the discouragement, despite the demons that you carry with you or the struggles you carry with you, you do things anyway. That is what it was gonna separate you from those things and all the things you wanted to try and all the things people you wanted to interact with. This is the time, especially if you're an adult. It is so it is so important that we understand that we only have so much of our lives to live and you have to live it for you. And don't think that your trauma is something that will stop you from living that life forever. At a certain point, it's in your hands to decide whether or not you have the experiences that you want to have or the experiences that have limited you, and you continue to live in that cycle. So, really ask yourself, what parts of yourself were suppressed to stay safe? And oftentimes, with our coping mechanisms, they have worked for us in the past. It has made sense for someone like me, for example, to isolate myself because I necessarily wasn't safe around the people that I grew up around. It could have made sense for you to build a wall or to not be vulnerable or to not explore or to not try things. But sometimes you have to have an accurate sense of whether you are literally safe or not. And sometimes we put protective barriers over our own over the possibility of our own fulfillment, and we kind of allow those things to hold us back and to negate everything about our experiences. So we need to I don't know if what I said made sense, I'm sorry, but we need to come into that like logical what's the word, my head is so fuzzled today, I'm sorry, that like logical, am I safe? Am I safe where I am? Am I safe in my body? And if those things are true, that you are literally safe where you are, don't let it stop you from doing what you're supposed to do. And all those things that have been suppressed, that have made you felt like what's it called, that you can't do the things you want to do, you can't pursue the things that you want to pursue. Go at them, go about them. There are limitations like a lack of money. There are limitations like an abusive household. There are limitations like being a minor. But once all those expectations and all these things are gone, really go for it. And don't, and this is one thing I will say, spontaneous things are not always the smartest, but start now. Because when you start now, like I started with this channel and stuff like this, when you start now, you you can't go back. You've already started a journey, and think of it as a trip to um a trip to the unknown. You know, you never know where it will take you. These are journaling prompts I would recommend. I also recommend to journal, who am I when I'm not pleasing others? What do I love beyond coping? And if you can't answer that question, you can't answer that question, just start doing things you want to do. There's so much of the voices around us growing up, whatever, that teaches us to suppress things, that sometimes you could, maybe you want to do a certain type of braids and then they're like, no. It's little things like we don't even know when we're being controlled or abused. Or little things like you want to, what's it called, stop asking people their opinions on every little thing. If you want to eat something, eat it. If you want to do a specific hairstyle, do it. If you want to wear a specific dress, do it. If you want to have a specific phone case, do it. Don't allow those things that have limited you to stop you from even doing the little things. And with those little things, then when that happens, you trust your intuition, then you trust your authority. I don't make up the rules. So in the journal, you can talk about exploring your values, your passions, and really start to understand them for yourself. One thing I dislike in the religious community is when they're like, this is one way to be religious. I'm not even religious. I'm far from. But if someone has decided this is their own version of Islam or Christianity or however they want to live their lives, that's their prerogative. And at the end of the day, it's all interpretation. So it's your life. And in all those religions, from what I know, they're going to be judging you on the judgment day or at the end of the day. So you have to do what's best for you and live your life to the fullest. Don't let anyone interpret your own values for you. Your values should be based off your own perception and how you perceive the world. My friend made a very valuable quote. I quote her, I put her name if she wants me to. She said, the only things that human beings, like the only thing that no one can take from you is your perception, and your perception is the key to your ultimate your perception is the key to your ultimate authenticity, because it's the one thing that is most unique about you. Identity is not static. So give yourself permission to experiment and evolve. Try different things. You may discover your favorite color might change. You may discover that things stay the same. Like for me, I discovered later in life that my favorite color was pink. And I don't think it's changing anytime soon. Next week or next year, maybe purple. But I'm the kind of person who doesn't is very static in my own way of things. But my process to becoming to this person that I am today was not static. I gave myself the opportunity to evolve, try new things, even with little things, with my hairstyles, with how I organize myself, with how I even decide to show up, for people I love. Try different things and see what is the most convenient and the most authentic, because the more authentic you are, the more convenient your life will be. Other people may make it inconvenient, but your mind space and your own autonomy, you will feel convenient overall. My words are not coming together in a way that makes sense, but I still think it will come across like something that makes sense to some people. Play, rediscover your creativity, your curiosity, and these are things that will make you your real self. At the end of the day, these are things that humans suppress every day. See how animals discover things, see how people discover things, and it's a coping mechanism because we live in a society that is so harmful to us, that can harm us in emotional and harm us in physical and harm us in social ways by excluding us from a group. And we suppress those things. But at the end of the day, we have to not let our curiosity and our creativity be suppressed, or our play. Really enjoy life, enjoy the things that you enjoy, and try the things that make you tingle, that butterfly tingle curiosity thing. And the last point I will say is be patient with yourself. This is a return to your old self. For you could be 50 watching this video, everyone probably watching this video is over 18. You have at least 18 years of rediscovering to go back to who you truly were, go back to who you're meant to be. It's a long process for some and a short process for some, but it happens every day. It doesn't stop, and it's something that I recommend you hold in regard. Being you, becoming you is the most important part of your development. As Carl Jung says, it's individuation. And I will put the definition there, but the individuation process is truly coming into oneself. And you will go through the dark night of the soul. I also put the definition there. And it's not going to be easy, but I've got this, and you can follow me and I can give you tips on how to get there. Either way, thank you so much for watching this video. Comment, pick hearts under this video if you made it this far. And have a lovely day. It's Ash, a lovely day, telling you to have a lovely day. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, turn on the post notifications if you want to see more from me. Follow me on other social media and subscribe to my Patreon if that's something you're interested in doing. I love you.